We're going to do a little video here on the setup using these box filters. Well, basically I wanted to go over this because I've gotten a lot of messages and comments about these boxes. So I just wanted to go over how I set them up. Right now I'm just using Biostratum, and I've been using Stratum now for a year using this method, and it works fine. I don't have any issues with it. And my thinking is that if I can prove this method out using something like Biostratum or Fluval Stratum or just something that's readily available, if I can prove it out and make it work like I have, then just imagine how well it'll work when I get the better stuff like the Akadama or maybe some ADA Amazonia. Of course, go through the cycling process if needed. Once this works, which I believe I've proven it does, then using the better stuff will just make the entire system and maintenance requirements, etc., etc. It'll just make all of it better. So here we go. Alright, this one's a little 5-gallon tank. I just set it up. I took out all the substrate, cleaned out the tank, cleaned glass, and then put a new smaller box. This is just a single box setup for the 5-gallon tank. I'm going to use this for my clown killifish breeding project, which I've been doing also in these tanks. Of course, this one has shrimp in it. Wouldn't you know? I'm refilling this one. I just cut back all of this stuff here. And then of course I got this one, which is just full of little clown killifish all over it. I'm going to transfer them eventually. Here's another tank I just recently set up. And I got some tank ties in here. They're really nice. There they go. Got a few buried ones in here. They're hard to see because they kind of match the coloration of the hooker moss in here. But as you see, here's another setup that I got. Filter box back there. There's no substrate. I just did this yesterday. I pulled out all of this anchor moss from the first tank that I showed in the video, and I took it all out of there and put it in here. So the water's a little greenish, but as you can see, I'm starting to switch out my tanks from the sponge filters and getting them to this filter box. I really like the filter box setup. And I don't have to use active substrate. I could leave them just like they come. If I wanted to, I could just leave them like that. Here's an example of one that I just took out of the package, rinsed it off, and put it in the aquarium as is. Because I'm just using it for these guppies and the subwasser tang. But it has multiple purposes. It doesn't have to be used with active substrate. It could just be used like a regular filter, and it does a great job. In this tank, I'm using a combination of double sponge filter because it's got, you see that little leak it's got right there? So I don't think it's as effective as it should be or could be, but I wanted to try with a filter box and a sponge filter for this aquarium that I also left substrate in it. In this tank, I have a filter box. I unplugged the double sponge filter. In these tanks down here, they all have box filters. This one, this one, this one, and eventually this one will too. Let's see how this camera angle works, and we'll give it a shot. Oh wait, hold on. I need one more tool. Maybe. Now the reason I'm using this is just for a catch-all. That's it. You'll see. That's why. Yeah. Oops, I dropped it. Good thing it's made out of sturdy plastic or acrylic. Yes, I'm just scooting this stuff off to the side for right now. I'll clean it later. I'll put this in the bloopers. So I take out the sponges. Comes with the fine sponge, coarse sponge, and then the fiber floss, which I take these apart. I use this 3 times or 2 times depending on the situation. You'll see. So again, there's the filter floss. Inside this, it has the compartment and the 2 sponges. So I take all of that stuff out, and I go and I take all of these compartments and I wash them off real quick. Be back in a flash. All right, I'm back. So these things are washed off. I'm going to put them off to the side here. Here's the top compartment. Here's the bottom compartment. Now you notice these holes here on the bottom, right? I don't want any little shrimplets to get inside of my filter box, or if I'm using it for clown killifish, they can definitely get inside the filter box. Not sure that they would or not, but just to take preventative measures, I'll take the bottom filter floss pad and I'll rip it like right here in thirds. And I slowly go around. It's a little bit more than thirds, depending on which side I'm looking at. Try to get it as even as possible. This goes with all of the fibers that I just cut off up. I don't know if it makes a difference, but I like to have the formed side facing the bottom so there's not a bunch of little fibers sticking out the holes. Right? And I'm just thinking out loud with everybody. You don't have to do it this way. This is just the way I do it, okay? This is the way it's kind of developed over the past year that I've been toying with this method and using these boxes. Maybe a little bit more than a year now. So that's the bottom. Then I'll take the bottom compartment that goes inside here like this. All right, I'm going to fill this up with some of these bio rings. And you don't have to do it this way. You could use something else. I just do it just because they're there. All right. The gravel, I toss it in my backyard in my little rock garden. All right, so I got these in here. There's no rhyme or reason to the way that I put them in there. I've done it all different ways, and really it doesn't matter. So I have a little scooper cup in here. Sorry, my arm's in the way. Here, I'll do it this way like they do on the TV. Use my other arm so I'm not in the way of the camera shot. But I have a little half cup scooper. And where's my box? There's my box. And I even this out as much as I can. Shake it around a little bit. Some of the small pieces are going to fall out, and that's why I have this catch-all. All right. When you use the regular stratum, you don't have that problem because it's bigger grain size. The biostratum is a little bit small. So again, the cotton pad serves 2 purposes. help keep the shrimplets out and help keep the small granules of substrate in. Now I take one end first because it's easiest to get these into the little tabs that are right there. All right, and then I'll pull this apart and get that in place. That's all the way in properly, snapped in place with these little lips. Then I take this and drop it in there. All right, so that's my bottom row. Again, you can do this however you want and put whatever you want in the layers. Then I'll take the filter floss, and again I'll pull it apart because I only need a little bit. Doesn't matter because this is in the middle of everything, so if it's a little frayed, no biggie. I'm just using it to cover this up this way. All right, then I'll take my scoop again. Sorry about my arm. It's only a half cup. Maybe a little bit more. And I get it as close to the top as I can. Now remember, you can press down a little bit, slight pressure. Try not to crush your substrate. But I do that to try to make sure the filter pad is as even as possible. All right, and then I get the next section right here, and instead of putting the pad on there, I'll put the pad in here. Okay, if you put the pad in here inside the little lip, then you can make sure it's not gonna get pinched between the substrate and cause any issues with the connection of the body. Get it in there. If you make it wet, that's a good tip, which I didn't do. If you wet the filter, it's a little bit easier to form in place. And the reason I do that is because there's a big old hole right here, and I'm just trying to keep that in place. Does that make sense? I messed up a little bit right here, but that's okay. So I got that on nice and tight, and I go on to the next box. In this one, I'm not going to do anything as far as putting anything else other than just substrate. And then a little bit more than half a cup. Like that. That should be good. Make it go even, tap it around, use your finger, whatever you want. But just get it as close to that little lip as possible. Those little lips are what hold in this. And then of course they got those little cutouts right there. See that? So again, start with the corner, get one side in under, the other side in under. I have to bend it a little bit. And then this one's on top. So I'll pull it out with my thumbnail, and then boom, it snaps in place. Now it's flush. Then you take the pipe for the air hose. That's what it connects to. Put that in there. You got it set up like this. Now I'm going to grab another half cup. Pour it in there. Shake it around. Another half cup. Shake it around. See how high I got it. Need a little bit more. Alright. Then I take this one, and again, I'm going to split it in half. 4/3, because this is going to go on the top. And in here, I put that in there, get it nice and flush. Then I grab my box carefully not to spill. And I put my top on. Now that's complete. So there it is. Now it's complete. Ready to put inside an aquarium. I hope this answered a bunch of your questions and maybe gives you a little inspiration to try it yourself. I think it works really well in both ways as far as filtering the water, giving you some nice clarity. It buffers the substrate. If it's nutrient rich, it puts it in the water column. So the good example is just watching how some of my mosses have really flourished in this system. I mean, look at that. Drop me a comment, let me know what you think. If you have any questions, hit me up. I'm Papa Shrimp. We'll see you next time. I love shrimp.